that shares a bit of history makes history with the world premiere of The 20th-Century Way by Tom Jacobson and directed by Michael Michetti, playing at the theater at Boston Court and starring Will Bradley and Robert Mammana.
I'm Michael Michetti. I'm the director of the play.
I'm Tom Jacobson. I wrote it.
I'm Will Bradley, and I play Brown.
And I'm Robert Mammana, and I play Warren.
The turn of the 20th century brought invention and change throughout the world in many aspects of life, not the least of which was sex. Unfortunately, when there is new joy in sex, there are also those who work to make new laws which forbid it. In the book Gay L.A., A History of Sexual Outlaws, Power Politics, and Lipstick Lesbians by Lillian Faderman and Stuart Timmons, we learn that the invention of the zipper and better public hygiene led to more oral sex, or as it was called in 1914, the 20th Century Way. Playwright Tom Jacobson tells us about going from story to stage.
I had read the story in Gay LA several years ago, and I thought it was a fascinating story, and I kind of tucked it away. And someone said, I'd mentioned the idea to someone, and they said, oh, yeah, that'd make a great screenplay. Why don't you write that as a screenplay? And I generally shy away from writing screenplays unless someone wants to pay me to do it, because nothing ever happens with them usually. So I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in pursuing it until I sort of thought about this as two actors. And suddenly the conceit of two actors playing everybody was a key to doing the play. And the play would be about acting in the broadest sense, how everybody acts, and whether they're acting in a moral way or an immoral way.
It is difficult to talk about the synopsis of this play because it tells stories within stories, so I'll let the storytellers explain it.
In 1914, two actors hired themselves out to the Long Beach Police Department to do gay entrapment in the bathrooms at the beach, and the play explores that through the context of two actors meeting at an audition and challenging each other to improvise that story.
I actually think of it more of the story of the two actors who meet at the audition than I do of the two actors who become the cops. And I've always thought of it that way. And it's weird how it didn't really even occur to me until this interview to think of it as the story of two actors hired as cops. Except that that's there, but I've always thought of it as the story of Warren and Brown who come to the audition and their journey that they go on together, and it's interesting to me.
And what's great about this play is I think if you asked, 10 people what the play is about, they'll have 10 different answers. And I mean, even there were rehearsals that Will and Michael and I sat there and really discussed what is this play about, and it was different for the three of us. And we obviously had to find common ground because we were doing a play together, but it really affects people differently, and I find it to be a play about truth wrapped in a blanket that is 1914 gay entrapment. But it could be about anything as long as it investigates truth. And for me, that's what the play is, I think, beginning to end.
Yeah, I think the story about the two actors entrapping gay men in 1914 is certainly the primary bulk of the plot of the play. Most of the episodes they're playing are surrounding those episodes. And we are in a world where people, in order to get their brains around something, want to know what the plot is, what the story is. Mm-hmm. And that's the dominant story, is about these two actors who have hired themselves out as vice cops and are entrapping gay men in 1914 in Long Beach. The majority of the play spends its time on that subject, but it uses that story to tell a much broader story about acting, about telling truth, about identity, about whether any of us in our daily lives are honest to our own identity, or whether we're all wearing masks and acting all the time, and much bigger questions that are explored in the framework around this story about gay entrapment.
This play is a triumph to the art and craft of the actor, most particularly to Messrs. Bradley and Mammana, who portray the many characters of this play, but many actors shied away from playing these roles.
I have a feeling it's because there is a kind of vulnerability required from the actors that I think is frightening under these situations to some people.
I think thematically one of the things that actors might have been frightened by is it really requires them to come close to themselves in front of people. They've got to mine their souls deeply, but there's so much the actors have to reveal about themselves in this play, and that for people whose profession is to be something maybe that they're not, to get really close to who you are is sometimes the most difficult and scary thing.
Stories within stories, actors, characters, actors as actors, the craft of the theater, from the brilliant lighting and precise costumes to the perfectly subtle sound designs, this production is the pinnacle of what makes theater and the live experience great.
These characters are 150 miles an hour from the go. Will and myself sort of change characters, breakneck speed and all that, and with just little costume pieces, but there's no hiding. We don't ever go behind a piece of furniture to do that. Everything is done in front of the audience, so they get to see, to share in the transformation.
Tom wrote a play about actors and, as he said, the act of acting, and it was very clear to us that we could not do this play with B actors. We needed A+ actors to do it. We were really fortunate to get these two fantastic actors.
Souls laid bare upon the stage is no easy feat for an actor. Robert Mammana and Will Bradley speak about the process of working towards the incredible performances they give each show.
There was nothing that was off limits.
It was felt very strongly, I think, that I thought it was a very nurturing environment that Michael created for us. So.
Without a doubt, and a place that you could be safe, and that if you wanted to try something, then you could.
A play about history, entrapment, gay men, actors, love, and morality, shared on a very human level through the unique medium of theater.
This, tells a very narrow history about gay men in 1914, but I think that the lessons are broader than that, about how our actions cause results and whether we can morally stand behind our actions.
If you've ever experienced anything unjust, you'll identify with the play.
The 20th Century Way is playing through June 6th at the Theater at Boston Court in Pasadena, California. Performances are Thursday through Saturday nights and Sunday matinees, and tickets are available by going to bostoncourt.org.
It has been my great fortune to bring you this brief look at an incredible work of art. This is the world premiere of the 20th Century Way, and I have a strong feeling this is only the beginning. This is Taran James for IMRU.